Good morning and welcome to the show, and thanks for waking up with us today. Today we have a special gentleman here in the studio who's kind of a local treasure. You might have heard of him, Ricky Steele. I call him a local artist, but he's actually a nationally renowned artist and travels quite a bit to art shows and whatnot to sell your artwork, I suppose, and to display your art.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show, Ricky. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I know I had admired your work at the Spring Festival of the Arts there, and I was like, wow, this is some interesting stuff.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, you're a native of Panama City, right?
Born and raised right here in Panama City. Big family, 11 brothers, 3 sisters.
Holy mackerel.
Yes,
all
sir.
right. Yeah.
Yep.
And when did you start with your art? When did you start?
I think from day one, you know, I always had a love for it. I was one of those kids that doodle a lot, you know, and I realized that I think that anybody can be an artist. I think it's just a passion, you know, as you continue to do something more and more, you get better and better at it. I think some people are natural at it because they just love it. I think I was a natural because I just love doing it, you know. We grew up poor. So, you know, a lot of times you had to find other things to keep your mind occupied. So, you know, did a lot of drawing, you know, I was kind of like the weird kid that when everybody else was playing, I was drawing, you know, and they looked at me as being like weird, you know, like, oh man, you know, what are you doing? Come on outside, we playing football. I said, go ahead, I'm gonna do this, you know, so that was it.
So you've done it for all these years, and now you're enjoying a level of success with your artwork, which is just great.
God has been good. It's been my ministry, as I say. My art is, I'm called the emotional painter because everything I do it sparks an emotion. You know, my work speaks about poverty, change in the world. And then I went on to study under the late great James Chichester, who was a big inspiration to me. He just kind of took me under his wing, and he just told me, I'm gonna make you great, and he did it. I wish he would have lived long enough to have seen me get to this place, you know, but that wasn't in the cards, but he really left me with, you know, just some inspiring thoughts, and just, you know, he took me in, you know, like as a son, you know. He said, I'm gonna make you one of the greatest African-American artists, not just in this area, but in the country. And I said, thank you. You know, that's what he told me. That was his exact words. I said, wow.
It sounds like you just ran with it from there.
Yeah. I used to go to his studio and watch him paint, and he painted like on a scale of little canvas, big canvas. He just put a little on this one, and he did like an assembly line, and I really love that, and that my style is a lot like that. I may be working on a piece, and I get bored when I move it out of the way and get another piece and work on it, or if I'm in a happy mood, I do only happy paintings that day. If I'm sad or whatever, I do sad pieces that day. So, you know, like I said, his legacy lives on in me.
So it's a great outlet for you, as well as a gift to those of us who enjoy your art.
Yes.
We have to run off to the local weather.
Okay.
But on the other side of this break, I want to take a look at some of your artwork here, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about what you were thinking about when you were creating these beautiful things.
Okay, brother.
And we'll be right back with Ricky Steele after your Waking Up with Don weather. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Ricky Steele, local yet nationally renowned artist, right here from Panama City native. The whole deal. Ricky, I know you're quite successful as an artist now, and I know I talked about what goes into these things when you put them together, like this portrait, for instance, of this young black child here. What were you thinking when
I was watching a show, and it was talking about like homeless kids. The name of that piece is "They Shall Hunger No More." That's from in the Bible over in Revelations. It speaks about it come a time that God will heal the world, and you know, people won't hunger anymore. If you look real closely, you have to look. There's little blowflies on his lips and on his clothing and everything. And most of my pictures, when you are at one of my events, they have a caption up on them that talks about, you know, that piece. It'll, you know, it'll say like, "They shall hunger no more." They tell about there'll come a time when God will heal the world. And you know, throughout my travels, I find that there will always be poor people, but there will come a day that they shall hunger no more. So most of my pieces will have. So
this is no one in particular. This is just emblematic of hunger in the world, and it could be some third world country. It could be right here in the U.S.
I donated one of these to the Okaloosa Community College, which is now no longer called that. and they raised money, and to my understanding, they raised more off that piece. I had given one many years ago. It was framed. And they raised more money off that donation than anything else.
Wow. So, it's just beautiful work.
Thank you very much.
You can tell just a lot of thought and emotion went into it. Now, what's going on here?
That's called food rations. I was reading, it's certain villages at that particular time when I created this piece where they were giving food aid, and the helicopters would bring in the food and they drop them. They drop them, and each village would have to send a young representative to get their box. And you notice he's got a box, well, the way the villagers were punished, if they sent an adult, then the plane would keep going because they knew an adult could carry more than one box. So they were only allowed to send one child because he could only carry the weight of one box. So I thought that was strong. So if you look on this right here, say emergency food rations. So that touched me. That story touched me about the food.
Yeah, so that's one way of ensuring you only get one box is send someone small. Now let me flip this around so we can get a better look. I didn't realize we had that there, but no, what's going on with this one here?
That's called I Surrender to Your Will. That piece was the best of show piece at the Bay Annual. That was my first, well, I would say, major award here at the Bay Annual that won best of show. I Surrender to Your Will. I used to wonder why when you go in churches and you see people do like this right here, why they had their hands up. And I asked the minister one time, I said, what does that mean? You know, why, I was a little boy, and he said they surrender. He said, how you go on a bank and somebody rob and they say, stick up, and you say, okay, I surrender. He said, that's the same thing they're doing. They surrendering to God. I said,
you're just submitting to God's will.
I surrender to your will.
Yeah, that's beautiful too. Now this is just an adorable picture. A little white girl, a little black girl skipping and running along as sisters.
Yeah, this piece is one of my first pieces to go nationwide, get nationwide attention. Actually trying to do some T-shirts with this image. It's called As Sisters because Dr. Martin Luther King said they should walk together as sisters and brothers. And I have a piece called And Brothers. It's got a big, tall white kid and a little bitty black boy. They're walking, and the big white kid got his arm around his shoulders.
What a wonderful message. And I like, you don't really see their faces, so it could be your kid.
Exactly.
It could be anybody's kid.
A lot of people that buy this piece, like best friends, like white lady and black lady who best friends, they have me to actually put their name on it. They'll have me to sign their name on it and everything, or put it on the glass. If it's framed, they'll have me to write it on the glass.
What a positive, nice thing to do to preserve a friendship. I mean, that's wonderful. And this thing is just this is just a beautiful thing here as well.
A pencil drawing, the wisdom bearer. I was commissioned by a 5th grade teacher at Oakland Terrace. She said that this was her nanny when she was growing up. She really shared a good story with me because she said that they brought this lady over from her country because her dad had actually, remember the movie The Toy?
Sure.
She asked her dad, can I have that lady? He said, you can't have that lady. She said, why not? She said, you can't have her. But they asked her, did she have any ties there in that country? And she said she didn't.
So that was her
nanny. So they brought her over, and she lived here until she passed away. She came over to the United States and lived there with her and her family.
Ricky Steele, thank you so much for the uplifting work that you do and the inspiration that you bring to thousands, maybe millions of people with your beautiful art.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
God bless you.
You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Joe Bober, adjunct professor at Gulf Coast State College and IT expert. Is that an overstatement? No, you're an expert.
Some people would say so. Yeah. I don't know if I would consider myself an expert.
Now, what do you teach out there at the college?
I teach network and information security, as well as certain Microsoft certification classes.
Okay, so network and security, just internet security in general, is very topical. It's in the news now. China has hacked into our government systems, and I guess every single government employee is now known to the Chinese.
The latest information that I heard was that they now have accessed every federal employee, and it goes back as far as the middle 1980s.
Wow.
So if you were a government employee from that time up until today, they have already seen your information, to include your address, your birth date, and your social security number.
Now, the Chinese have all this information on federal workers. What are the risks? What are the dangers of them having this information?
Well, some of the dangers have already been realized. I recently, as recently as this morning, I read an article that some of the information is showing up on a website called Darknet, So they're already selling the information.
Oh, geez.
Okay, so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're vigilant about your information. That means going out and checking your credit report. See if anybody's opened up any accounts. If you don't recognize something, call the credit agency and get the information from, you know, the bank or the institution where the account was open. Okay?
Now, if somebody has their Social Security number, that's a whole new level of craziness.
Well, and that's why your credit report is based on that. So that's why it's very important that you do that. And if the viewers don't know it, you are entitled by law to one free credit report every year.
You just go out to creditreport.com or whatever. And
correct. You go out to creditreport.com, you can get your free one. And what I would recommend to people is that they go and get, there's 3 agencies that they deal with: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, and space them out. So today, go out and get TransUnion. In 3 or 4 months, go out and get Equifax. That way, every few months, you're getting a credit report for free, and you can get that continuous cycle, and you can see, because each agency is going to have different information.
so that's good. So it's instead of just doing it all in one fell swoop and then staying in the dark for a year,
correct,
space it out, and you'll be getting a continuous checkup on your credit.
That's right, because you want to make make sure that nobody's opening up accounts in your name. And that's the key.
A new trend now is tax fraud. People are filing tax returns with other people's Social Security numbers and collecting refunds.
And unfortunately, by the time the IRS catches on to that, it's usually several years down the road, and they've paid out several $1 billion in fraudulent tax returns.
Right.
You know, it's unfortunately when you deal with big government systems like that, there's a couple of myths. The first myth is that the government is going to protect it, and no matter, because they have so much money at their disposal that it can be 100% protected. That's not true. Okay? If there's a system out there, there's probably an individual that can figure out a way through the security to get it. The key is making sure that the companies that you're dealing with have the ability to track that. It's what we call accounting. Okay, so they can see what data was taken, and they can see where the attack came from.
Wow, it's a brave new world, Joe Bober, and it's kind of scary out there too. So you've got the Chinese that have hacked in, they've got all of our data. They can do whatever they want with it, and I suppose they can sell it and make money off of it.
It seems like that's what they're trying to do. And it can make your life, if you try to go for a car loan or a house loan, it can affect you.
It could be very disruptive, to our society in general too.
Yes, it can.
It's a lot of power to have. So I guess the common sense solution is just keep an eye on your credit report, keep an eye on all of your credit cards, and stay engaged in your financial life.
Look for things that aren't normal.
Joe Bober, thank you so much for coming on the show and getting us smart on that data theft by the Chinese.
Thank you, Don. It's good to see you again.
Right. And we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dr. Stephen Favaloro from Forest Park Animal Hospital right here in Panama City. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Doc. Good
Thank
to
you
see
very
again.
much.
Ears are kind of a touchy subject with dogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they get infected. They've got to be cleaned. They don't want you to touch their ears. I mean,
sure.
How do you deal with a dog's ears? How do you clean them out?
I guess that's this conversation go several ways. So just normal routine maintenance. I mean, it's when you bathe your dog, and you can't even go by that because some people bathe their dogs about twice a year. But if you wanted to do normal maintenance, and you want to look, you look in the dog's ears, see if it's red, see if there's any wax in it. I get that question a lot. How often should I clean my dog's ears? I know it sounds like I'm being a smart butt, but it's like, I don't know, whenever they need it, because some dogs, I swear, never need their ears cleaned. And then others need it once a week, and not because they're infected, just because they produce a lot of, wax. So what I would say is if we're talking about ear infections, if your dog's shaking their head, scratching their ears, rubbing their ears against the floor,
that's pretty obvious.
You smell an odor. Those are the big keys that you'll notice that your dog has an ear infection. But I'll have dogs come in for routine vaccines, and you do my exam. It's like, oh my God, this dog's ears is infected. It's like, really? I didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's more subtle.
Are some dogs more prone to ear infections than others?
Absolutely.
I mean, like floppy-eared dogs as opposed to, because they have big ear canals, it seems to me.
Not actually, that's not always the case. I guess first, if we had talked about the anatomy for a minute, dogs' ears canals are a bit different than ours. I mean, so if we just talked about the outer ear, you know, and kind of use this, say my finger is like the eardrum, the tympanic membrane. They have this horizontal ear canal that comes out here, and then they have a vertical ear canal that goes out at about a 45-degree angle. It's not that long. I don't want to see that dog.
Yeah.
But, you know.
You have to have a head the size of that couch.
And inside their ears, you know, they have a lot of ceruminous glands that produce a lot of wax. And that's a good thing because it protects against moisture, and it also has some antimicrobial effects. But in certain dogs like Shar-Peis have like the most narrow, and I mean like stenotic ear canal you could ever imagine. I mean, you can't even get like an infant ophthalmoscope in those ears to see the eardrum most of the time. I mean, they're just really small. So those ears don't breathe very well. You know, the wax will build up fast and clog the ear canal up. Cocker Spaniels are one of the worst when it comes to ears because they have really long ear canals. And because they're long, they kind of collapse on each other. And they're, you know, they got a big floppy ear. And they have actually more ceruminous glands in their ear than most breeds. So they oversecrete a lot of wax. So, you know, Cocker Spaniels, by far, if I see a Cocker Spaniel come in, it's almost like, all right, this dog's probably got an ear infection. Wow. They don't always do. It's kind of a,
but they're more
joke,
prone.
but they are much more prone to. So, you know, as a general rule, if your dog has like red ears, you know, they're scratching their head, whatnot, most of the time it's both ears. It can be one ear, but it's usually both ears, and it's usually allergy related. You know, you'll have some dogs that'll go swimming, you know, people in the pool during the summer or in the lakes, and you know, you'll come in with ear infections for that reason. And one of the things you can do if your dog does swim a lot, what I'll tell people is just take some like rubbing alcohol on a cotton ball, and at the end of the day, just squeeze some in each ear. Let it drain down, and you know, alcohol is a desiccant, so when it evaporates, it'll pull that water out. As far as cleaning the ears, you know,
you clean them like a human's ears with a Q-tip, or
usually if you take a Q-tip and you go down in there, so you can scoop out what you can see. But if you're going further than you can see, chances are you're pushing everything back to the ear canal. So then now you've got this compacted amount of wax that's even harder to get out of. So, you know, most of your ear cleansers will have like what's called a keratolytic effect. It'll kind of break that wax up. But you gotta know how to do it and how far to go down.
And you could buy that in any pet store, right?
You can, but you know, you have to be careful because some of those like carriers, like propylene glycol, is very irritating to some dogs' ears. So you might, you know, with all good intentions, go to clean the ears, and next thing you know, now they're red and still full of wax.
So if I'm hearing you right, you don't not all dogs necessarily need their ears cleaned.
Not on a regular basis. You know, most dogs that come in have very clean ears, and every time I look in there, there's minimal wax. When's the last time you cleaned the dog's ears? Like, never. Yeah.
So keep them dry, keep them clean as best you can, I suppose.
Absolutely.
But, you know, go to your vet.
Yeah, and just peek in every now and again. You'll be surprised. You know, during an exam, wow, look at this dog's ears. Like, oh my God, I never knew that. It's like all they had to do is lift the ear up to look, and they would have seen.
Dr. Stephen Favaloro learns something every time you come on the show.
Thank you very
Dog's ears this time.
That's right. Very good.
All right. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Aaron Jordan from Bay County Animal Services and his little friend, I want to call him Peppy, but it's
Yoda.
Yoda. Looks like a Peppy to me, but Yoda's good. He's very, very wise, Yoda.
Yes.
Great name. Now, what kind of dog is Yoda? He's a smaller breed, apparently.
Yeah, he's a Chihuahua mix.
Okay.
He's about 2 years old. Stray that we found around Bay County here.
Yeah.
He's been with us since the 3rd of this month.
Oh, so this little guy's been running the streets, you know, for about a month almost, you know. By the time this will air, it'll almost be a month. But good grief, and he's a cute little guy, you know. He seems like he was someone's pet because he seems very content just to sit there on your lap and hang out.
Yeah, he's very well mannered.
And doesn't shed all that much.
No.
Not like that cat you had on there last week, who was a nice little cat, but, you know. Yeah, that comes with the deal when you have a cat, I suppose.
Oh yeah, handful.
Yeah, he was a handful. But this little guy is quite a pleasant little fellow, you know. Now, you guys picked him up on the streets here as a stray, as opposed to an owner surrender.
Correct.
And for those of you who may not know what an owner surrender is, it's when someone can't take care of their animal anymore and they just give it to Bay County Animal Services and hope they find a good home.
Correct.
I think this guy would make a great addition to any home, particularly if you know, if you don't have young kids.
Right.
I mean, this dog just seems like very docile, you know, little fella. It's just happy to be around. You know?
He is.
Now, like all of the animals at Bay County Animal Services, he's had his shots and everything, right?
Correct. All of our adoption fees are $25. Includes spay or neuter, and then all their first series of shots, including the rabies.
We could even go out to the website too, the Bay County Animal Services, and actually you have the mug shots of the dogs there, don't you?
Correct.
So if
Correct.
you wanted to see all the other dogs that are available for adoption, it's just a mouse click away, isn't it?
Correct.
Well, Aaron, thank you so much for all the work that you do, you know, keeping our furry friends in homes and keeping them well fed and healthy. And of course, you know, Yoda is available for adoption.
That's right.
So just go to Bay County Animal Services, and always remember, spay and neuter your pets. We'll see you next time.